Welcome to the Piedmont Unitarian Universalist Church. Piedmont UU sits on the traditional land of the Catawba, Kiowa, and Sugaree peoples. We honor them. My name is Robin Mara, and I'll be worship assistant today for our guest speaker and service leader, Michael Howard. This morning, Mike is an autistic writer and blogger whose work was recently featured at the Autism Society of North Carolina's annual conference. And he'll be available following the service to offer copies of his new book. Actually, last year it was published, but yes. So, and the title is Not Me, Us, the story of a middle-aged autistic and the quest to empower others with similar stories. We are so pleased to have you share your story with us today, Mike. Thank you. Piedmont UU Church is a flourishing, vibrant, and radically welcoming congregation which promotes diversity, inclusion, and social justice. We provide a safe haven for creative intellectual growth, spiritual development, and a deep sense of community for all who join us. We hope our liberal religious values will challenge you to join us as a church that lives boldly and acts justly. To all our visitors and members, we're very glad you're here today, in person or with us online, and we hope to see you again. Your presence is a gift to us. These are our announcements. Reverend Amy is away for study leave and professional development until June 3rd. If you have a pastoral care concern, please email joysandconcerns@puuc.org. And for any other pressing needs, you can email BOT, that's for Board of Trustees, BOT@puuc.org. Our social action team will host an environmental justice program here at the university gathering after the service on June 1st. That's a week from today. They'll have lunch for us, and there will be a special presentation with a follow-up discussion and ideas for moving forward on that. And there will be special activity for children too, so everyone's welcome to stay. And we also hope to see you all at our church-wide picnic Saturday, June 11th from 11 to 1 at Dorton Park in Concord.
That's June 7th, yeah.
Oh, June 7th, thank you. Check, it's good to have you there. June 7th from 11 to 1 p.m. at Dorton Park in Concord. Please bring food to share with an ingredient list, and we'll have beverages and fun activities for children. And it's always fun for everyone, so please bring the whole family and your friends too. And for other important information about our beloved community, please see your order of service, or if you're on our email list, please check our monthly newsletter and weekly announcements. Whatever brought you to this place at this time, we welcome you. May you find something you need, and may you leave richer in spirit than when you arrived.
Hear these words from Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. Recognizing the beauty around us and within us, in voice and spirit, we gather to light our chalice, and we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. May we remember to inhale the lushness in life, knowing that we are people of beauty. Please join me in singing the words to our lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith. We'd light I invite you, please rise and body your spirit for our call to worship. The diversity of the human species is astounding. The fact that we can gather together for common experience is nothing short of a miracle. Today, let us celebrate some of those differences. Let us celebrate those who worship us through music, for whom the Holy speaks through rhythm and harmony, pitch and meter. Let us celebrate the interpersonal worshiper who finds the sacred in relationships and in community. Let us celebrate those who worship best through the visual world, for whom the divine speaks through aesthetics of space. Let us celebrate the verbal and linguistic worshiper, for whom words and languages, stories and poetry are sacred sources of joy and revelation. Let us celebrate those to whom the divine might be found in logical reasoning, in mathematics, and through critical thinking. Let us celebrate those who worship best through their bodies, those to whom the divine speaks through movement and physical action. Today, may we find a way to connect with the ultimate, each according to our own ways of understanding and experiencing the world. May we bring our whole selves to this worship service and celebrate the diversity amongst us. Please remain standing for our opening hymn, that is 360 in the gray hymn. Well, have we gathered? Here we have gathered.
Good morning. It's so nice to see all of you up here with Time for All Ages. It's really good to see you, Claire. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing? Good. I like hearing that. So today I have a book for you. I know I don't have a book all that often anymore, but I really like this book. Do you know this book? No. Thanks. I really like this book. I really like the artwork of this book. And it is called I Am Human, a Book of Empathy. Do you know that word, empathy? Okay. Everybody is human who is a human, right? Animals aren't human, animals are animals. Plants are plants, and humans are humans, right? That's how that works. You're a human, that's correct. Well, we're going to talk about this word empathy. Raise your hand if you've heard that word before. Empathy. I'm looking out into the room of adults. Raise your hand if you've heard that word before, adults. Empathy. Okay, I'm glad to see hands raised. Good, I'm glad you've heard heard of that word. You haven't heard of empathy? Yeah. So empathy is when you take the time to think about what someone else is going through and how someone else is thinking and feeling. And you think about how that is making them feel, right? So we're going to start our book. Correct. I was born, a miracle, one of billions, but unique. I am human. I am always learning. I am finding my way and choosing my path on this incredible journey. I have big dreams. I see possibility. I have endless curiosity. I make discoveries. I have a feeling of wonder. I am amazed by nature. I have a playful side. I find joy in friendships. I am human. But being human means I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I can hurt others with my words, my actions, and even my silence. I can be hurt too. I can be fearful of things I don't yet understand, and timid to try something new. I have a heavy heart when I feel sadness. I am human. But then I remind myself that because I am human, I can make choices. I can move forward. A poor choice can become a better choice with thoughtfulness. A bad day can become a great day with kindness. I can act with compassion and lend a helping hand. I can treat others with equality and be fair. I can choose not to fight, but instead to listen and find common ground. I can say, I'm sorry, and ask for forgiveness. I am human, one of billions, but unique. I am not alone. I am connected to my friends, to my family, to the world. We are all humans together. And I will keep trying to be the best version of me. I am full of hope. I am human. So that was I Am Human, a book of empathy by Susan Verde with art by Peter H. Reynolds. I have a question for you. What was your favorite part of the book? Did you have a favorite part? Did you have a favorite picture? When he had the wings, that was your favorite part when he was flying? Yeah. So today, in RE, for the older kids, you're going to join me. We're going to be talking about using our imaginations to understand. Yeah, you went to the big classroom during your school day?
Yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it?
I never did go there, but this time I might go.
Yeah, you're usually stuck in the nursery, huh? So those of you who are in the nursery, you're going to go back into the nursery and play with all of those great toys and stretch out your imaginations like we've been talking this whole month. All right, let's go.
This is our time of ritual and sacred sharing, a time for sharing our joys and sorrows, our concerns and milestones. First this week, we light a candle for Little Feather, who had surgery this past week, Ron F., who is dealing with cancer, Susan B. with health concerns, for ongoing recovery efforts for all impacted by Hurricane Helene and the fires in California, for the immediate relief of people of Gaza, for all areas of violence around the world, especially Haiti, the Sudan, and the Middle East, and the ongoing war in Ukraine, for our country, that we might continue to work towards creating a society filled with love, empathy, civil rights, and justice for all people. At this time, you are welcome to come up and fill out a prayer card, drop a stone into our shared water, or light your own candle of joy or concern. The worship assistant will hand you the candle to you if you wish to light a candle. I invite you to, as you come forward, to walk along the outer aisle next to the wall. And we light a few more candles for those things we hold in our hearts that remain unspoken, and for those joining us from elsewhere to honor what is in their hearts as well. I invite you now into a time of quiet rest, meditation, or prayer as we follow the sound of the singing bowl into the silence. After a moment of silence, we will have a musical meditation.
Today's wisdom reading includes some thoughts on autism from the blogosphere. Being autistic is being a Mac in a world of PCs. Ultimately, they do the same thing, but there are real differences that put them apart. Being autistic is like being a cat in a room full of dogs. Being autistic can be like playing a board game, but you have to figure out the rules by watching others play, and no one has told you there's dice. Being autistic feels like eating soup with a fork. Sometimes being autistic feels like trying to ride a bike up a hill while everyone else is in cars flying past me, pointing and laughing at me for taking so long. Being autistic can feel like running a race where everyone else has a head start. Being autistic is like being one of the few sober people in a room full of drunk people, and they see your sobriety as a problem. Being autistic has often felt like everyone else was born with an innate understanding of how to act and be, including in social situations, like they had a book which told them what to do. I have always felt that I never had this book of social understanding.
Good morning, everyone. My oratory skills have yet to match whatever writing skills I might have, and much of that has to do with my disabilities, I imagine, so if you will bear with me. Before beginning with my story, I wish to acknowledge that my support needs are low compared to many others. I cannot, in good conscience, put myself in the same category as those who need nearly constant attention and may not be able to speak or feed themselves. However, even though my challenges are largely invisible to others, they have been formidable, and to a large extent, I have been the victim of my own success at putting on the normal act. I also want to recognize that many of you may be on the autistic spectrum, some perhaps unknowingly. Since many of the clinical symptoms of autism in early childhood were not well defined until fairly recently, I have little way of knowing how my behavior may have differed from that of other children at that point in time. Shortly after entering school, though, the fact that I was somehow different began to become apparent. I learned quickly, but easily became bored and appeared not to be paying attention. I could seem aloof and unconcerned about what was happening around me. I began to accumulate labels such as hyperactive or underachieving. I seemed to bring out either the inner bully or protector in my peers. People often remarked that I spent a great deal of time in my own world. As I grew older, I had difficulty making and keeping friends. Those who I considered my friends were usually others on the fringes of the social order, and many were not real friends at all, but opportunists who took advantage of my trusting manner. I often had difficulty not sharing my thoughts out loud or knowing whether a situation was appropriate for whatever I was about to say. I was frequently criticized for being apathetic when my reaction to circumstances did not match that of those around me. I engaged in what we now call stimming behaviors, such as nail biting, spinning, and pacing. I found eye contact and making small talk to be stressful and unpleasant. I generally got along with people, but would practice conversations, facial expressions, and how to act in certain settings while alone. I could tend to flake out over situations others thought to be trivial. On the other hand, I would frequently find that people were upset with me, though I could not understand what I had done to make them grieved. I was easily confused or overwhelmed, but over time I found ways of avoiding many situations that made me feel this way. The most noteworthy event in my young life was our move from upstate New York to Charlotte, North Carolina, in the weeks before I entered the third grade. The change was not unchallenging, but shortly afterward I was approached and befriended by a boy named Lee. He was another unusual child, and I am willing to wager that he was also neurodivergent. He would become a friend for a long time. I attended a religious private school through the 8th grade. The transition to public school as I entered high school was difficult for me. For instance, I did not understand why the boys I knew in my scout troop, whom I anticipated to be my high school friends, were not inviting me to hang around with them. For the first time since my move to Charlotte, I was away from Lee, though I saw him regularly on the weekends. Nothing, academically speaking, interested me enough to excel as a student or give me direction as to what to pursue in college. Though I applied to many schools, I was accepted only at my local state university. As I began taking classes, I discovered my aptitude for work in the humanities and eventually declared a philosophy major. Lee became a fellow philosophy student. I commuted to classes from home and never left the area in which I had grown up. I became an academic star and graduated at the top of my class in my major. Finally, my interest in my schoolwork had aligned to the point where I had little else in my life beyond my studies. I was accepted at a university many hundreds of miles away for graduate school. Eager at first to take the next step in securing an academic career, things quickly fell apart for me. I may not have recognized the fact at the time, but I had so fully identified myself with my studies as an undergraduate that I'd become burnt out. Secondly, I was living outside the support structure I needed to thrive and could not cope without the familiar routines, people, and places that I had always known. I left graduate school after 2 semesters and returned home. Once again, my life began to stabilize. I found employment that lasted 10 years at an independent furniture store. I performed mostly behind-the-scenes duties as an assistant manager. I dreaded customer interactions, and my boss often had to bail me out of failed communications with our clientele. But overall, my diligence was appreciated, and I was presentable in public most of the time. In early 2003, I heard a radio program about Asperger's syndrome, roughly synonymous with what we now call level 1 autism in the United States. I was astounded at how I met all the diagnostic criteria. I ordered a book on the topic and vividly remember sitting alone at a restaurant. I spent the afternoon in tears as I read the book and recognized myself on almost every page. I finally knew the why to all those challenges and difficulties. Eager for a new start, I scheduled an appointment with a mental health provider I'd seen a few times in the past. I believe that I finally held the key to the enigma that had been my life. The next thing that happened was disheartening in the extreme. I was told that since I had done very well as a philosophy student, I could not possibly be autistic. What one had to do with the other, I do not know. Perhaps we are all supposed to be computer geniuses. Dismissive attitudes whenever I raised the topic of autism among professionals would be my experience for almost 2 decades. In 2005, I re-entered school at my alma mater where I had done so well as an undergraduate. Surrounded by familiar people, I once again excelled and earned a master's degree. I met and married my wife since 2007, coincidentally the daughter of one of my professors. Our daughter, Cassidy, was born in 2008. My master's degree did not open up any doors for me professionally, and I experienced a great deal of vocational instability over the next decade. My relationship with Lee, now my only friend outside the family, had become somewhat episodic since my marriage. In early 2018, I sent him an email expressing my wishes to get together. I will never know whether he received that message. Within a week, I received a call from his cousin informing me that he had died by his own hand. Even though we had not interacted regularly for years, I was devastated. I hastily prepared a eulogy that I delivered as a celebration of life at his boyhood home days later. I had been able to engineer my life in a manner that allowed me to avoid the worst situations that would cause frustration or discomfort for an autistic person. However, I would often encounter the unavoidable social blunder or case of sensory overload. Otherwise, I would frequently find myself overwhelmed and once again entertain the notion of pursuing a diagnosis. Given my academic background, I came to realize that contacting a professor specializing in autism may provide the best route to finding an appropriate diagnostician. After a brief internet search revealing such a person, I sent an email describing my situation. This time I stumbled upon a solution to my problem and was instructed to contact a practice in my area. In early 2021, the diagnostic process began, involving in-depth interviews, questionnaires, examination of my medical history, and a lengthy in-person session involving problem solving and other exercises. I appreciate the thoroughness of the process and that there can be no question of its validity. In March of 2021, I received my diagnostic report proclaiming me officially autistic with ADHD. My first reaction was a feeling of validation and vindication. I wanted to tell the world that I had been certified. Gladly, the reception from those I told my diagnosis was positive and non-dismissive, though I still lacked the understanding to accurately explain what the medical verdict meant for myself and others. I believe that many of my lifelong issues would begin to fade away now that the source of my struggles had been revealed. Unfortunately, I still had some arduous and confusing times ahead in, for example, securing work accommodations. Yet I was happy to finally be acknowledged for who I actually was. To repeat a phrase that I often hear in neurodivergent circles, I knew for certain that I was a zebra and not a failed horse. While my life is now stable and improving, such is not the case for too many people on the autistic spectrum, especially us older adults. Approximately 85% of us are unemployed, and I continue to be underemployed considering my level of education. The longer we live before we receive proper support, the more likely we are to live with anxiety, depression, and other mental health struggles. Many of us resort to unhealthy coping mechanisms such as substance abuse, and a high percentage of us have experienced homelessness. The suicide rate among autistic is 9 times higher than that of the general population, and the life expectancy for autistic people is 12 years less than that of non-autistics. We generally suffer from chronic health conditions more frequently and more seriously than others. We are not facing a sudden epidemic of autism or the diagnosis thereof. Thankfully, the reality is that autism is now better understood, and the diagnostic criteria have changed to reflect such progress. A few decades ago, most autism diagnoses were young white males who exhibited only the most extreme or stereotypical symptoms. Now, with a better understanding of the condition, more women, people of color, middle-aged people, and individuals with co-occurring conditions are getting diagnosed and hopefully finding the help they need. We are not being overdiagnosed, but rather more of us are being correctly diagnosed. Parenthetically, I am horrified by the anti-scientific stance which regards autism as an unacceptable epidemic that is being advanced with too much authority lately. Autism is not a new or manufactured disability, but remains a relatively rare condition that is widely misunderstood. Living with autism, often without any guidance, especially for those of us who've lived most of their lives before theirs has been acknowledged, presents a constant challenge. Increasing numbers of people are being diagnosed as autistic later in life. And frequently, while the diagnosis may provide personal vindication and enhance self-understanding, we have difficulty getting the help that we need. Even worse, too many people remain undiagnosed, either for lack of resources or lack of access. I do not have to know another late diagnosed autistic person to have a good idea what their life has been like, because I have lived that life as well. Those diagnosed late in life tend to have less access to guidance and resources, yet face a much longer journey toward wholeness than those who have been diagnosed in their youth. Many of us are literally dying before we get meaningful help. Others will never know the source of their alienation and inability to function. However, my intent is not to divide the autistic community into factions. I am happy for resources we can get for autistics of any age. I am not arguing for a bigger piece of the pie, but for a larger and better pie, one that will nourish us all. May we all find the support we need for a better life.
This morning, our choir is singing Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. Released in 1968, Yellow Submarine was written by Paul McCartney and Donovan. Donovan is especially credited with the line, "Sky of blue and sea of green," for those of you who know the song. In an interview, McCartney stated that he wrote this song for Ringo Starr, and he intended it on being a children's song. Yellow Submarine, like so many of the Beatles' songs, is an homage to imagination. The imagination it took to write the songs, and the imagination it stirs in each of us as we hear them. Enjoy.
Wow, that was great. Thank you to our choir. So much fun. So now is our time. Now let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of that dream. This month, we're sharing our offering plate with 7 Directions of Service. 7 Directions of Service is an Indigenous-led collective rooted in environmental justice and community organizing, operating on the ancestral homelands of the Occaneechi, Saponi, in rural North Carolina. Their mission is to protect sacred places, advocate for the legal recognition of the rights of nature, and establish a land, language, and cultural center grounded in traditional Yesa teachings. Seven Directions of Service is committed to serving as a powerful voice for the lands, waters, and the interconnected, more than human world. Our hosts will pass our collection baskets, and you may place your gift in the baskets as they make their way around the room. We ask that you pass the baskets down the row as you receive one. And you're always welcome to give online at puuc.org or by texting PUUC at the number 73256. Today's offering will now gratefully be received.
As always, we thank you for the gifts contained within these baskets and for all the gifts you offer to this beloved community. Let us rise now in body or spirit for our closing hymn. Before we extinguish our chalice, let's offer thanks for we offer thanks for the many volunteers who helped our worship service possible, and especially for Mike sharing his story today. We also ask that before you leave to please place your hymnals back on the cart near the piano. And now let us take a moment to give thanks, either in our hearts or with words, for the things in life for which we are thankful today.
I'm thankful for all the teachers in the world that are ending, hopefully, their school year now and coming back. They're very valuable. So,
Thankful for all the teachers who are getting ready to end the school year, and we thank them.
Thank you to our guests for enlightening us. I greatly appreciate
Thank you to our guest, Michael, for enlightening us.
Thank you for the choir.
Thank you for the choir and their music choices. And Anne. Thank you, Anne.
I'm grateful to Anne. She's my best friend of 20 years, and you guys are so lucky to have her.
And Anne's best friend of 20 years is very grateful and is grateful and knows that we should feel grateful for having Anne with us. We're very fortunate.
I'm just grateful for this community and the ability to come here once a week and feel very enclosed.
Very grateful for this community. We all feel so close.
I'm grateful for my mother who supported me all through college and made sure that I graduated this summer.
So we're grateful for, Alex is grateful for her mother who has supported her and she's getting ready to graduate. Did I hear that correctly? Congratulations.
Grateful to have such a wonderful daughter.
And Alex's mom is grateful to have such a wonderful daughter. So we now extinguish our chalice, but carry its light, its warmth, and its meaning with us until we meet again. May we go in peace, believe in peace, create peace wherever we wander. May it be so. And for our closing hymn, we make a circle. You may hold hands if you wish. If not, you can also simply stand with your hands over your heart, not hold hands, and just cross your heart. Let's all get together.